Welcome to the latest episode of The Independent. I'm Pete Sampson. It is 11:54 p.m. Pacific time, and I'm back atop the press box of Stanford Stadium after Notre Dame's 49-20 victory over the Cardinal, which felt convincing but not perfect. Is it convincing enough? I don't really know. And Matt, I think I'm kind of exhausted on the Notre Dame's backups, maybe not doing everything that they should, but I don't know what to say. I mean, they've won 10 in a row, all by double digits. Marcus Freeman made that point. I just don't know. This sport is harder than ever to get figured out in terms of what comes next in the college football playoff.
I'm channeling good vibes with my winter hat here.
Yeah. Yes.
By the way, 11:54. It's 2:54 where I am right now, as it is probably for most of our 75 live listeners.
Let's go.
Each and every one of you, the home run pizza in person. Down to 71 now. When we see you, thanks for staying up with us. Hope you guys are fueled, caffeinated, and lathered up, and are ready to go. Here's my thing. There's a lot of consternation. I see it on the Twitter mentions. You see it on TV. I must be missing something here because I don't know what exactly changed from yesterday to today. Don't tell me Texas beat Texas A&M. Texas is not. They're irrelevant. I don't. Texas is done. I don't want to hear about Texas. Good for them. They beat A&M, but I don't care about them. What? And again, I'm 12 years of the committee has shown us there's not a whole lot of consistency or logic to what they do week to week.
That's the problem.
So, yes. Could Notre Dame be in jeopardy? Sure, they could have been in jeopardy last week, the week before, and I understand it. There's a new sense of urgency and dread and anxiety knowing that these next two are the last two, and they're the ultimate ones that have the final say. But I just don't know. I tweeted this earlier, this committee has loved Notre Dame more than Touchdown Jesus himself has this year. They are enamored with them. Whether it was Mac Rhodes as the chair before or Hunter Yurachek now, they can't seem to get enough. They even referenced the 70-7 win
That's true.
over Syracuse last week, which I don't think they're supposed to do. So, look, I mean, did I think it was a crime against humanity that Notre Dame has been ranked ahead of Miami this whole time? No, I didn't. Do I understand Miami fans being upset that their team with the same record against a team they beat head-to-head are upset? I get it. I thought the real tragedy, if you will, was them being 18 at the beginning. And again, I think the committee has sort of slowly rectified that. But I don't think there was anything that could have been done. Even if they won 70-7 again, which, hey, when they had 35 at halftime, I was thinking they're halfway there.
Yeah, they could have.
Their argument's kind of done. Now, look, if BYU beats Texas Tech next week, all bets are off.
Right.
And yes, there's anxiety that comes with that, but that was going to be the case regardless of what happened today.
Yeah, I think that, to me, it's I'm watching LSU Oklahoma at a restaurant having lunch/dinner, and you're thinking all right, Oklahoma's going to make this easy on everybody. They're going to lose.
Oh, sorry. Yes, in that regard, yes,
they're going to lose. They can't score. They are not a team that I think you would take seriously as a contender in the playoff. And yet they hit the shot play to win the game against a team that's already fired its coach. Then you have Alabama, Auburn at night. Auburn's already fired its coach. The game's 2020 in the fourth quarter. And then Alabama scores, Auburn goes down, they fumble it, their best player. You're just and then I'm here at Stanford Stadium watching UCLA beat USC for a while. USC comes back, and you're just, I don't know. It felt very uneasy where it felt like Notre Dame was being hit by this 12-team parlay of dread, and all 12 actions in the parlay hit until USC came back to win. And then, but I mean, who knows? It's maybe SMU losing at Cal has something to do with it. I really don't know. I just think I don't know why this happened to me tonight. I just feel like it's an exhausting way to process the sport. I understand the playoff conversation is good and it keeps people engaged. I'm not so sure that it's actually a good thing.
So Brock Osweiler and Dave Fleming drilled this point home, and I understand what they're saying. Like, they're talking about what a nice story it was that Rick Meyer's son comes in, he scores a touchdown, and then Kenny Minchie's airing it out up 29.
Yes.
And they're just like, we don't like this. We get why Marcus Freeman is doing it, but like, it's, to your point, Pete, it's kind of crappy that it's come to this, right? Like, it's 2 a.m. and you haven't run the clock out yet because you need quote unquote style points. And I don't blame Marcus Freeman or anyone or name one bit for going all out. Although I'm sure there's some gamblers who had the Irish at minus 32.5 tonight that are very mad about that final play and the decision not to have a final play. I will also add, who trusts their kicker less? Kalen DeBoer or Marcus Freeman? Because Kalen DeBoer had the stupidest / gutsiest call I've ever seen. Not ever, but it didn't make any sense even when it worked. And Notre Dame still hasn't attempted a field goal and has not made a field goal since the NC State game.
No, they've attempted one.
They've attempted one, of course. They've not made one.
We could forget that one.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm with you. It is an exhausting way to live, so to speak. I do think you kind of make your own bed when you start 0-2 in that regard, as we just passed the 3 a.m. mark on the East Coast. Again, thank you to all 186 of you now.
Yeah, this is a deal we've made with ourselves with the sport. Unfortunately, I don't like the deal, but it is what it is. Like, as far as like news from the game, Jeremiyah Love came in post game, said he felt fine to go back in right away. I asked about sort of the nature of the rib injury. I don't know if he said he took a knee, but clearly on the replay took a knee to the ribs. But felt he was good to go. I also asked him, like, after that first drive, I think he had 8 carries for 51 yards and the touchdown. Are you thinking like, all right, I'm going to make my closing argument for the Heisman Trophy? And he's like, yeah, no, yeah, I mean, no, but yeah, like he was conflicted about it, which is fine. I mean, it's like totally natural to be there because it's like you don't come this close to the Heisman Trophy and not think about it going into game 12, especially the way that he started. So he seems fine. Leonard Moore came in. I asked him, like, so were you also surprised you got a lot of targets? And he's like, yep. And just about the nature of like playing football in this weird scoreboard watching world around. And he's like, yeah, this is actually hard. It's difficult to do. It's difficult to sort of like keep your mind where it needs to be all the time. Like, you do it, but it takes some work to get there. So I think that I think even Notre Dame, like, internally is just sort of like not. I don't want to say they're exhausted or anything. I mean, they may be as they fly back to South Bend at like 5:30 a.m. But it's just been. I think that this season, to do 10 wins in a row all by double digits is not an easy thing to do. They've done it. And then now they have to sit there and wait to see if it was enough. And at this point, there's nothing they can do or say about it that's going to change that.
By the way, announced attendance 27,456. That's got to be the smallest they've played in front of in how long?
I mean, I'd say probably when they were here against Stanford 2 years ago.
But you think there were less people then than there were for a 10:30, 7:30 local? But
yeah, I think there might have been fewer 2 years ago.
Interesting.
I don't know for certain. I can tell you, while I did not get the General Luck bobblehead, another media member did go down and request one. And they're like, well, you got to have a ticket. And they're like, how about our credential? I'm like, well, all right, I'm going to be honest with you. We have enough of these.
Really?
So, yeah. So maybe there will be some sitting around and I can grab one on the way out. But there were some Jeremiyah Love Heisman stuff from Notre Dame that was put out in front of the traveling beats. We had some like Jeremiyah Love, like those like sort of conversational Valentine's Day mints that I think like, look, I can't remember what I'll have to pull it out here. Yeah, if you're watching the podcast, we got these very fancy Jeremiyah Love mints. So we've got Love on top, I think, and like a little bit of Jeremiyah Love story on the back. There's a pamphlet there too. So I don't know. Probably doesn't make up for the bruised rib and only 66 yards, but it is what it is. They definitely put some work into it.
Everyone, they're all cursed. I got stuff yesterday from Haynes King and Marcel Reed, and they both lost yesterday. So, and Jeremiyah Love's today, and he gets hurt. So, I will say, again, I'm not saying he could have won the Heisman tonight, but I feel fairly confident saying he's not going to win it now. Now, I think you could get to New York, by just that's your closing argument.
He should get to New York. Like
he should, yeah. But
he should be.
Well, if 4 go, and again, we can map this out a million different ways, but I imagine both quarterbacks in the Big Ten title game next week go. And then maybe Love and Pavia, right? Maybe Jacob Rodriguez from Texas Tech, but I don't think he'll get enough votes, frankly. Pavia, but speaking of the sport, Vanderbilt just had the best season in school history, 10 wins, and they're not even in this discussion. It seems like to be in the playoff.
They think they are.
They beat 4 or 5 ranked teams. Now none of them end up being ranked, but LSU was a top 10 team when they beat them. That's got to count for something, right?
Yeah, I don't think it does. Unfortunately,
it doesn't, right? Yeah,
it doesn't. In the end, it doesn't count really much. It doesn't count for Vanderbilt any more than it counted for Alabama a couple weeks ago, or any more than it counted for Oklahoma today. Just like I think when Vanderbilt beat Auburn, you're like, well, that's kind of a nice win. Actually, no, Auburn finished 1-7 in the league. They suck.
Auburn stinks.
So, yeah, in fact, it says more about Alabama than it does about Auburn that they were struggling with them in the Iron Bowl today. But yeah, it's just we should definitely discuss the fake punt, which I thought was one of Biaggi's best. I absolutely love the Josh Burnham to Luke Talich 84-yard.
The Burnham piece of it was the wrinkle to me. Talich looked like, oh my God, was he fast on that? You just
he's got wheels, man. I remember, him coming out of high school in, is it Cody, Wyoming? He was a big time athlete there. He scored back-to-back weeks, which we all had in our sort of player prop bets. But yeah, I love that play. Biaggi sort of hinted that he's got a play that nobody's ever seen before. I wonder if that was it. But and Marcus Freeman was asked about it post game, and I think he's right. That sort of was a neck crack moment in the game. We're all right, this one's over. Because it was 21-0, I think, late in the first quarter. It felt like it could have been name your score. Ultimately, it kind of wasn't. But that was the one that, if you had any doubt about this, that ended it right there.
It was interesting because it felt name your score. I think the live line was over 50 at one point, and it didn't sound unreasonable at all.
No.
And, I don't know, the defense took its foot off the gas or what. I was a little surprised Stanford moved the ball as consistently as they did in the second half. I was a little surprised Notre Dame's offense stalled as much as it did in the second half. Again, I understand this isn't first quarter of the Rose Bowl against Ohio State here. It's third quarter of a blowout against Stanford, but I don't think the final score in this one, the same way them beating Purdue 56-30, I thought was not indicative of how close that game was.
Yep.
I think them beating Stanford 49-20 is not indicative of how dominant this game was. I mean, they beat them by more last time they went there. By the way, just since we're talking about it on DraftKings right now, the top 4 Heisman odds. Number 1, Fernando Mendoza plus 125. Number 2, Julian Sain plus 135. Number 3, Diego Pavia plus 330. Number 4, Jeremiyah Love plus 1400. So I think that probably answers our question. He was number 2 all week. And you get in that striking distance. And again, I know it's a late night game against Stanford and you won't have next week to make a statement, but you're allowed to dream of him winning it in a realistic manner and think that this could happen. And it's a shame he got hurt because that first drive was vintage Jeremiyah Love. But credit to him for coming back in and toughening it out with his teammates and putting forth a strong effort. One that was probably not at all necessary given how well everyone else was running the football tonight, including the walk-on safety on special teams.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of other things that were notable other than why are you keep throwing at Leonard Moore? I thought, on the topic of the defense being improved, and I thought, where they are with Devonta Smith at the nickel position, he is really fun to watch, fully healthy. He has not really been fully healthy for the majority of the season. He's on a pretty good run of that right now, but man, that guy, that makes you have a perfect secondary. Not a lot of teams can say that. Certainly like Leonard Moore and Christian Gray are good. Leonard Moore is elite. Adon Schuler's hit on that kind of reverse type thing was just, that
You
for
heard
the
that one.
27,000 people who were here, they were all like,
oh yeah. But Bryce Young, I think, was almost as responsible for that crack.
Yeah.
He was right there as well. But that was one where
don't jump over somebody when Adon Schuler and Bryce Young are running at you and you do not have a cleat in the ground.
No, not a envious place to be. Andrew Luck got the mid-game interview. There was not a Stanford scuba score this time. They did get a coach, Tavita Pritchard. I think we had both heard that Mike Denbrock had generated some interest there. In the end, I think everything Stanford did was fake. It was kind of Tavita Pritchard from day one with Andrew Luck, and that's the guy they end up hiring. So if this rivalry continues, I know it's not the rivalry that everyone has foremost on their mind as far as will it continue or will it not. Tavita Pritchard, get used to him. I'm trying to think what would his record have been against Notre Dame as a quarterback, because he was there when they weren't that good. When Stanford wasn't that good.
I think he was the last quarterback before they got good.
Well, he literally lost his job to Andrew Luck, and now Andrew Luck just gave him a job, which I think is very ironic.
I thought, when I was walking into the stadium tonight, Pete Babak was walking in with Stanford's AD. They seem very amicable. So maybe they'll figure out a way to continue the series. I don't, Stanford is obviously down, like way down, but with Luck, with the new head coach, with the NIL investment, there's no reason for them to stay this down. Are they going to come back and be Jim Harbaugh Stanford? Probably not, because that was a aberration in the history of the program. But there's no reason that Notre Dame should just name your score against Stanford every year. And I get it. It wasn't that long ago that Notre Dame lost to Stanford at Notre Dame. But that feels like about 20 years ago at this point.
I think the announce crew said either pregame or earlier in the game, like coming off their biggest win in X number of years last week against Cal. I'm like, they did win as a huge underdog in Notre Dame in 22. That's not nothing.
Yeah.
I know it's not their main rival, but it's a much bigger upset than meeting Cal.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Stanford's a unique place. Obviously, you talk to a lot of the same people, and I'm sure you've gotten the sense that I have of like, anyone with Stanford ties loves to tell you how good it is and how good it can be and how good it still will be in this era of college football. And pretty much everyone without's like, yeah, no, like every road game, you got to travel 3,000 miles, 3 time zones away. Like you just cannot succeed that way. It's not ideal. Now, again, we mentioned this before. This looked like an 0-12 football team at one point this year. They end up winning 4. Hell, they covered tonight. We can't spend this whole pod.
Well done,
knocking them. Notre Dame, by the way, 4 years under Marcus Freeman. First year against the spread, 6-6. Second year, 10-3. Last year, a remarkable 13-3. This year, 6-5-1. Another fun fact: game ended at 11:08 Pacific time, just 8 minutes before Hawaii ended at 11:16. So this was so close to being the last played regular season college football game at the FBS level this season. But they just, if Marcus Freeman went for it on 4th down there at the end on the last play, maybe they get that. I don't know.
Could have extended.
And Arduzzi was coaching the Irish. They would.
God, yeah. Just we're down on the field for the last 5 minutes, and there's like the review of the targeting, and you're just like, guys. I think that was part of the reason I'm just like, is this what we want football to be?
All right, Nick Saban.
Where we're like, we're trying to score a touchdown at 3 a.m. for reasons of, not gambling, just impressing. I wouldn't say
it's for gambling. It's for making the playoff, for winning a championship. Yeah, it's for everything.
Just like, is this what we want football to be? I don't know if it is, but this is what football is.
I tweeted this. Marcus Freeman's Factor Meals commercial, I feel like I've only seen during the Pac-12 After Dark game. And sure enough, I see it tonight in the second half while Marcus Freeman's coaching. It's like, all right, here we go.
Speaking of meals, I think I only had 4 people yell home run and pizza at me at the game tonight. So I think that was also not a cover. Although I did appreciate some. Maybe you tweeted out like the Jeremiyah Love actually just needed a home run and pizza in the injury.
Yeah, the fans who had tweeted us a couple of photoshops, they followed the orders of the last podcast. Thank you to you. I know some of you had requested for me to live eat a home run in pizza at 3 a.m, which I'm not above doing, as anyone who knows me will know. However, I'm stuck in Jackson, Michigan right now. I don't like microwaving pizza, so I wasn't going to pick up a frozen pizza and put it in the hotel microwave because I just don't think that's a good eating experience. I was in Ann Arbor today and I did get Buddies and I brought that and ate it at my hotel. If you know,
I'll have to find pizza.
It's great. It's awesome. I ate 5 slices of an 8 square and the other 3 are in my fridge. And again, I think we both might be stuck where we are for a while, Pete. I had to pull over an hour out of Ann Arbor because I just could not drive anymore because the roads are so bad and it's supposed to get worse tomorrow. And you're probably not going to be able to fly back, but I think you're in a better spot right now than
Monday morning, man.
Oh, there you go. All right.
I didn't book it with weather in mind, but more just like this Sunday of Thanksgiving weekend is a absolute disaster. So I always just go back Monday.
You gonna golf while out there?
No, I'm not. I'm not doing the Brian Kelly stay on the West Coast to recruit thing. Thought about it, but I'm gonna, especially with like by the time I'm done working tonight, it's gonna be the sun will have come up back in South Bend, so it's a lot of sleeping tomorrow, and then maybe a nice meal out, and then National Signing Day / sweating out the penultimate college football playoff rankings. So it's I think I mean. Do you think that whatever the rankings come out with on Tuesday relative to Miami and let's say Miami, Alabama, and Notre Dame, like these are the 3 teams. Let's just say Alabama loses to Georgia. That whatever they look like on Tuesday night is what they're going to look like on Sunday.
Yeah, short of like 31-0 or something. I just don't think. I think Bama's in no matter what. I just think you're in that SEC title. Yes.
Huh.
Like especially against a team you already beat. Like that's the best win of the year. Alabama at Georgia, by definition.
Yes.
It's going to be the highest ranked 1-loss team. Their only loss is at home to Alabama.
Yeah. I mean, they did lose to Florida State. I don't think they're playing particularly well. But
I mean, look, the Iron Bowl's the Iron Bowl. Like I know it was a struggle, but they were dominant in the first half. This is the first time they've covered at Auburn, and I think the last 6 tries. Like it just these rivalries are weird. Like it's hard to.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. It's just like, were you that great against LSU? No, you certainly weren't great at South Carolina.
I mean, they've not been playing their best ball, but
but they do have a great win. You're absolutely right on that.
They have a great win. They have a couple great wins. I mean, they beat Vanderbilt by 16. I think that counts for something. Good win. When they beat Tennessee the way they did, Tennessee was playing much better. They beat a full strength Mizzou when they were undefeated on the road. I just think it's funny because I know people in the SEC who actually don't think the SEC is that good this year, but I think it is as far as top to bottom. And I just think you look at imbalanced schedules, like A&M kind of had a cakewalk. Ole Miss kind of had a cakewalk. Alabama did not, and nor did Georgia. And I think both of them did a really, really good job this season. So I think they're both in no matter what. Obviously, Indiana and Ohio State are both in. Texas Tech, I think they're in no matter what. But if they lose, I don't know. Maybe it's interesting. I mean, they're 11.5-point favorites, I think, against Texas Tech. So the odds of them losing are not great. But I don't know. If BYU won that rematch, is Texas Tech out of it? Texas Tech and Notre Dame remind me a lot of each other.
Tech's totally in.
I think they're totally in, but like they're both just beating the living hell out of everyone they play. And the competition has not been great for either. But my God, like just to, Tech today, 49-0 on the road at West Virginia. And again, I know West Virginia is not great, but they're just showing no mercy, much like the Irish are. And I think, you got to take that into account. And many different ways to skin a cat, right? I mean, again, we've said this a million times. Oklahoma is not exactly a football team that scares you when you watch them play, but you look up, they're 10-2 with a really hard schedule, and you win at Alabama, and like you get credit for that. So it's just so this sport is so like so much the inverse of college basketball in some ways, right? Like you'll see teams that are great at the end of the year in college basketball. It's like, well, they don't have any quad 1 wins, and the in November, or they didn't do this, they didn't do that. Like their resume is not good enough. It's such like a math problem. Whereas here, it's like, who cares what Notre Dame and Miami did against each other in late August? Like, look at them now. And I would like there to be a happy balance between the two. But it's just interesting. Many different ways to look at it. So our dear friend of the pod and our listeners, Ari Wasserman, today, and first thing he said to me was like, "Am I crazy? Am I crazy?"
Yes. It doesn't even matter what he says next.
Fair enough. You and Ryan Day are in agreement on that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's there are a couple questions in here, and we'll get to them. Like here, I'll just throw one here. Troy J. DeFrank. You related to Matt DeFrank? Status quo kind of sort of held this weekend. Why does this feel so uncertain? Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, it's like I would rather be Notre Dame than Miami.
Yeah.
I'd probably rather be Notre Dame than Alabama. Probably. Less certain about that. So,
I don't know.
I think I would the weird confluence of results as they were playing out. I was like, yeah, it just feels like uncomfortable to me that like you couldn't, like every year we get to like, well, they're not going to be that many 10-2 teams, right? Like that couldn't possibly happen. Like, well, this is the year where it happened.
Right.
There are that many 10-2 teams. So I thought somebody above Notre Dame would screw up, whether that was Oregon no showing at Washington, or certainly Oklahoma tried to lose to LSU today.
Ole Miss would lay an egg in the Egg Bowl, no pun intended, and they played great.
Yeah, or the Iron Bowl has been very weird when the game's at Auburn. So the fact that none of those things happened, you're just like, I just would feel like I think Notre Dame's going to be sweating this one out. I think if they get through Tuesday, I think you can live with sweating out the Big 12 championship game and the SEC championship game. That's the deal you've made with yourself as an independent. Like you just roll with it. The Miami argument, if you're far enough away from Miami last week, I don't know what would have changed today. And so I think that Notre Dame should be good with that.
1 second.
We're trying to bring Tim Murray into the show. I think.
No, here, hit the wrong thing. There we go. I didn't invite him yet. Did you invite him? I texted him and I said, text me when you're done, when you're ready. And you never texted, but I guess Pete just forwarded you the invite.
On the show, Tim Murray. How's it going, Tim? Thanks for coming. How are you as the voice of the fan? How are you feeling about Notre Dame's playoff chances right now?
Today was a frustrating day. It's funny. I live next to a couple of LSU fans, and I think I was cheering for LSU more than they were today. I found myself riveted and beyond frustrated with LSU, Oklahoma, and then immediately after that, Auburn and Alabama earlier in the day with Pitt and everything unfolded there. So I don't know, man. It was an up and down day. Watching the live market was pretty fascinating to see the ebbs and flows of, to make or miss the playoff. I think right now I feel okay. And it comes down to the situation with BYU. If BYU beats Texas Tech, Notre Dame's in a lot of trouble. I think it's not good. What I don't know, guys, and I don't know if I was listening to a little bit of the show prior, is the Alabama situation. Does Alabama? I can't imagine they jump Notre Dame this week because of beating Auburn in the fashion that they did. It wasn't really super impressive. I thought Auburn kind of gave the game away, to be honest. There was a ton of drop passes, self-inflicted wounds in that game. And, the Miami situation that obviously everyone's just going to continue to talk about nonstop. And I get the comparables, but is Miami going to make the magical jump from 12 to past Notre Dame, jumping over BYU, jumping over Alabama? I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll find out Selection Sunday, but I feel okay. But man, I tell you what, today Notre Dame really just needed one thing to go their way,
Yes.
and it didn't. Like, outside of Ohio State beating Michigan, which, Matt, I know you were there at that game, that was important, and that was probably the most important thing, but all they needed was one thing to go their way, and did not go their way. So here they are, and I think assuredly they'll be on the road. I think we could say that if they're in the playoff, they will definitely be on the road. And yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now.
I'm maintaining my hotel reservations for both Norman and Eugene at the moment.
I think Eugene might be the highest seed of the non-buys.
They were impressive
after this week. I think they might be number 5. I think it'll be them against Tulane or JMU or, God forbid, Duke. Can we, like,
the ACC does not deserve to get Miami into the field based on how they've managed this.
I don't. Right. Well, by the way,
championship game.
Great reminder to the Big Ten, which is like, we should all decide how we make our playoff teams there. Well, okay, go right ahead. Wait, you'll end up with this. Now, I don't know what the fix is. I think last year was the first year 12-team playoff, and everyone's like, wait a minute, Boise State and Arizona State are getting buys, but Ohio State and Notre Dame aren't. Like, we got to fix that. Top 4 seeds, regardless of conference. Okay, now it's year 2. What do you mean the ACC's got to get their champion in, which still I think is probably going to happen. What's the fix, right? I don't know. I mean, I think they're all kind of fluky in their own regard. I don't think I understand tinkering with it from year to year, but
9-game conference schedules would be a good place to start.
Well, yeah, that would help. But even then, they're going to be unbalanced. I mean, we've seen it with the SEC, or excuse me. Well, we've seen it with the 8 games with the SEC, but we've seen it with the Big Ten. I mean, some teams are playing just ridiculously hard schedules and others aren't at all. So I don't know what the clean answer is you would say, Pete, I think it's a feature, not a bug. Like, I do think it's kind of funny. Like, 5-loss Duke could get in. Again, not exactly a ringing endorsement of the Atlantic Coast Conference, but pretty funny. Like, it's like when the Seahawks got in with a 7-9 record or whatever, when you see those rare years in the NFL. I think it's pretty funny. It's not like, I guess, they're not stealing a bid from anyone. Like, Miami had their chances to make this game and they screwed it up.
Yes.
It's the fact that Duke's playing Virginia next week in primetime. And look, maybe it's a great game. Like, we kind of overlooked SMU Clemson last year and then ended up being the best of the conference title games. And they
both made it.
2 teams in. Yeah. But yeah, I do miss last year's argument of like 11-1 SMU or 9-3 Alabama that just lost by 21 on the road to Oklahoma. Like, that's, to me, was a fairly easy decision. Where, like, you were the people agreed last year were 3 9-3 teams in the SEC. It was Ole Miss, it was Alabama, and it was South Carolina. Whereas this year it'll be 10-2 Vanderbilt. It'll be 10-2 Miami or Notre Dame or Utah or 9-3 Texas, which again I'm not advocating for.
Alabama.
Yeah, possibly. It's interesting. You bring up Alabama. Like, I'm shocked Notre Dame's been ranked ahead of them just because the schedules I think are not even comparable. Not saying Notre Dame isn't a better team or hasn't looked better, but I just think like there's got to be some weight in the data, right? And if you can put Notre Dame over Miami with the same record, despite losing, I think you can still put Alabama over Oklahoma. Because I think,
I guess
same record. That was a much fluky. Oklahoma beating Alabama was a much flukier win than Miami beating Notre Dame.
100%.
I mean,
that was one of the flukier results of the season.
You guys had Bill Conley on this week. I mean, that was a less than 5% post-game win expectancy for Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And I think that's watching that game today. And I think Oklahoma does have an elite portion to their roster, which is their defense. But that offense, Mateer was horrific today. And I don't know how they had a broken coverage as bad as they did, LSU did, late in that game. And it made you think like, what's going on here? Like, how did this unfold that you're just wide open for 20 yards, no one around him?
Yeah.
And you're watching that. And, that's what I tweeted it out earlier today, guys. I'm like, can we stop the Notre Dame versus Miami Discord and just say, hey, can Oklahoma just lose to LSU and get out, and then Notre Dame and Miami get it? Because I think for me, and Pete, you referenced it as the voice of the fan. And I know, look, I follow some Miami people. Things just find their ways into your timeline, whoever it may be. And it's, Notre Dame sucks. Miami sucks. I think they're both good. I think they're both worthy of being in the playoff. And my point has been, I'm just frustrated that Miami can't win this conference, and we're going to have Virginia or Duke in the playoff, and Miami or Notre Dame is not going to be in. Like, one of those two is not going to be in, and they're two of the top 10 teams in college football, and I think that's the frustration now, how this all plays out. So, yeah, I mean, look, however you can get some Texas Tech gear, I think that's ultimately what it comes down to. It feels like right now, because, I'm curious your guys' thought. Is BYU coming back and winning today, and Alabama? I guess Alabama losing would have been better than Alabama winning, obviously, because Alabama would have gotten out of there and you would have been very comfortable. But there's still that buffer right now. My worry, guys, is what if Alabama beats Georgia and BYU loses to Texas Tech, and then they're next to each other? Does the committee go, now we can flip them? Because they've got all this common data points. They're all similar, and Miami beat Notre Dame. I don't know. Like, that's the worry that I have in my back of my mind.
Yeah, I think that's a legit concern. But again, it's like Matt mentions at the top of the show. We just don't really know how the committee behaves. They make up the rules as they go. I realize they have protocols and whatnot, but we're dealing with very small sample sizes for data. And then some people think you should shrink that data down to one game. It just doesn't really make any sense. So yeah, I don't, but man, it is going to be tough in that scenario where it's Notre Dame and Miami. One's 10, one's 11, one's going, one's out. I mean, Notre Dame has been better consistently more. And like Miami still they still have two other losses. Notre Dame's losses to A&M by a point. We all know that. So yeah, I don't know. I just think it's going to be an awkward week around Notre Dame.
Tim, I don't know if you have this information handy, but you could probably get it even at this hour. Neutral field, Notre Dame, Miami, point spread.
Last week it was 4.5. Notre Dame was a 4.5 point favorite. I talked to Matt Grill from DraftKings. That was the number he had. I've talked to some people that have it as high as 6, but I'll just use Matt's point spread that he had last week. I don't think much changed, based off of what we've seen. I thought Miami looked pretty good at Pitt. Certainly that first half for Notre Dame was very, very dominant. So I think you're kind of in that same kind of stratosphere. And, I know the immediate pushback from a lot of other people is, well, they played the game and Miami won the game. Okay, that's fair. I mean,
here's the thing I would add it. Notre Dame was a 2.5 point favorite in that game.
Yeah, so and Notre Dame was a favorite against Texas A&M.
Right.
And I think, Pete, you said this, and I would echo this sentiment. Look, if Notre Dame gets left out, they have themselves to blame. Like,
yes.
You dropped a snap on an extra point. You gave up a 4th and goal from the 11. Was there a holding call? Yes, but you also let Texas A&M on your home field drive all the way down the football field. So, like, Miami has themselves to blame. Notre Dame has themselves to blame. A lot of teams that have multiple losses can look at themselves. Like, you think back to last year and everyone, Alabama got screwed. Matt, you mentioned it. They lost by 3 touchdowns as a 2-touchdown favorite at Oklahoma, right? Like Texas and Steve Sarkisian out there last night. Well, look at all our wins. You lost to a 3-win Florida team. Like,
they haven't looked good in their wins. That's the other point.
Doing? Like, you needed overtime against Kentucky, who just got absolutely embarrassed by Louisville, and you lost to Mississippi, or you needed overtime and a miracle comeback against Mississippi State. Yeah. You can do this with almost everybody.
And got smoked against Georgia. Like, teams that get blown out do not make the playoff, historically speaking.
That second half was dominant by Georgia. Look, I'll say this, and I'm curious your guys' thought. As I was thinking about it on Friday night when A&M lost to Texas, I said this might be the best thing for Notre Dame, because I think Georgia beats Alabama on Saturday, I don't know if Texas A&M would have beat Alabama. Maybe they would have, but I think Georgia poses a bigger threat to Alabama. And you think back to that game they played in Athens, I thought Alabama threw a couple haymakers early and kind of held on for dear life in the second half.
Well, I thought that was typical Kirby Smart overthinking against Alabama. He just always panics and tries a trick play or goes for it on fourth down when he shouldn't. Even without Nick Saban there, he still has this mental block the same way Ryan Day did until this year with Michigan when he gets in that game. And those are two sides where the talent is usually pretty close to even. But we'll see. I mean, it's not the first time they've had a rematch, and not the first time Georgia would have beaten them after losing the first time they play in a season. I do think Georgia. I like Georgia's chances against Alabama more than I would Texas A&M's. I just have a very hard time seeing the committee keeping an SEC finalist with that brand name and with all those wins.
Well, and that's why I think I feel a little bit better, guys, because Alabama's behind Notre Dame. They didn't do anything today to jump Notre Dame. So my guess would be that they stay behind them. And if they were to lose to Georgia, there's that buffer, right? And I think that's, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, but I think that's important for how this is going to be looked at moving forward. But, we'll see. The committee, in the first year, what was that, Matt? 2014, when they kind of just said, Baylor, you went from 3 to 6. And I was like, wait, what? Why are they moving from 3 to 6? So they could do whatever they want, but the committee has been consistent in this. They like Notre Dame, and Notre Dame has done nothing but be dominant outside of the Boston College game, but they weren't really dinged for the Boston College game. So, I would be curious, the Navy win, does that help them at all? Knowing that Navy
will be a ranked team, right? I mean,
maybe.
I think they'll sneak in.
JMU's not ranked yet. I don't know if you can rank Navy.
I don't know. I mean, they beat Florida, beat Memphis.
Really bad.
Yeah, we'll see. It would be. I'm not a big proponent of using Navy as we should be in the playoff. We blew out Navy
with their backup quarterback, by the way.
And yet, I think Notre Dame might be in a position where they have to say that. And that would be the ultimate mutual respect right there.
Well, and if the computers work their way, they very well could beat the Mountain West champion too, because Boise State, based off of tiebreakers, could be playing for the Mountain West championship.
By the way, great way to decide. This is the second time this happened to them in the last 3 or 4 years too. The Mountain West.
They haven't announced their championship yet.
No, I know they're going to announce it tomorrow morning once they do the aggregate of 4 different random computers of 4 teams. And by the way, it's not a neutral site game. The home team, the higher seed, host it. So UNLV, San Diego State, New Mexico, Boise State, all their fates are up in the air right now.
By the way, shout out to Jared Parker. How about the Troy Trojans getting a big
20.5 point underdogs next week in the Sun Belt title game? Are you ready to put your money on Jared Parker?
No.
Yeah. Chuck Martin also made it to the conference championship game in Miami of Ohio versus Western Michigan.
After his quarterback quit mid-season. I mean,
it's Chuck versus Lance, right?
Yeah, Chuck versus Lance.
That's right. There's how many? So that's 3 former Notre Dame assistants are coaching in head coaches in conference championship games.
Yeah, and Mike Elko's not one of them.
Or
Clark, not one of them either.
Yeah. How about that? Matt, do we have any questions?
We do. There are a lot. We have 356 live viewers at 3:37 Eastern time. We got you guys all up. But before we do that, we do have to thank our sponsors.
Yes.
Thank you to our friends at Obvious Shirts, obviousshirts.com, OBVIOUSSHIRTS.com. Friend of the pod, great pod merchandise, t-shirts, quarter zips, hoodies, crew necks, and much more. We will have, hopefully, playoff stuff coming out in a couple of weeks once we know where Notre Dame is destined to be. But thank you to our friends, as always, at Obvious Shirts.
And our friends at Roback.com, RHOBACK.com, promo code Irish for 20% off your first order. Vests, which I'm wearing right now in the freezing cold Stanford press box. Hoodies, which I wish that I had. Crews, joggers, shorts, tees, everything you need for active lifestyle at Roback.com. And officially licensed Notre Dame apparel. Promo code Irish for 20% off your first order.
And thanks to our friends at DraftKings, conference titles, playoff hopes, Heisman statements, everything's on the line. Single loss or bad performance can end it all. No one gets you closer to the college football action than DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 sportsbook for live betting. New customers, this one's for you. Bet just $5. If your bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code INDEPENDENT. That's code INDEPENDENT to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, pass-through of per-wager tax may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms, responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. Also, so I'm in a hotel, and I don't know if it's just me. I feel like I always get bad cell service in a hotel, but I just looked down and had 7 texts from the two of you, including a link, including Tim saying, if not, I'm going to go to bed. So I'm glad Pete saw this and got the link to Tim.
Yeah, I wonder, it's like, why is Fortuna not responding to Tim Murray's texts?
I can't believe you guys invited me. I mean, it's I wasn't gonna be I wasn't gonna, my feelings weren't gonna be hurt if you
I'm begging to come on, but I mean, you're up.
I can't wait, especially at this hour, being stuck in a snowstorm. Like, everyone's gonna tweet Lane Kiffin's going to LSU, and then I'll look and I'll have a text from like an hour ago. It's like, hey, just want to let you know Lane's gone. I'm like, oh, thanks. Marty Smith.
I want Pete to be camped out like Marty Smith today.
Marty was hilarious on the end. He said, "For the love of," you see when he his last hit.
I did see that. Yeah,
he showed his phone. He said, "I texted Lane at 8:56 and said, for the love of God, do you have an answer yet?" And he didn't respond. So here we are.
That's capital J journalism right there.
Lane's deadline is like me growing up with the dog ate my homework. Like, give me another day. No, just one more. Just one more. Let's go to some questions. Adam Falcone. Do you guys think Frank Reich put a futures bet on Leonard Moore to win the Thorpe Award? Tim, can we bet on that?
Do they have market?
I mean, I was like, I don't know if it was Pete, if you tweeted it out. I'm like, did they not scout Notre Dame?
Yeah.
Like, why did
all
they keep
caps?
going
Did
at
you
15?
not watch film? Like, what are you doing? I'm just like, and they did throw a touchdown sort of against Leonard Moore, but like it was a switch, and like I felt like Buddy the Elf when he goes into the coffee shop and be like, "Congratulations, you guys did it! World's greatest cup of coffee. You threw a touchdown against Leonard Moore. Way to go, guys!" Like that was maddening.
On the awards circuit as well, Andrew Benjamin says, "What is Josh Burnham's QB rating? Can he win the O'Brien Award?"
I tweeted that out. Let me see if I can find it.
Next year's O'Brien frontrunner Josh Burnham. Next year's Doak Walker frontrunner Luke Talith.
Josh Burnham's quarterback rating is 1,135.6.
Not bad. Jay Carr, 2527. First half was a lot more fun than the second half. Miami can at least properly run up the score on their opponents.
It's always something to work on.
I did find it funny because it was so obvious what Notre Dame was trying to do late in that game, and I had to push back on a bunch of people who were like, "This is ridiculous." I'm like, well, at least Notre Dame's got their backup quarterback in. Carson Beck threw a touchdown pass with 41 seconds to go today, up 31-7, went for 33 yards. And then against Virginia Tech on 4th and 2, he threw a touchdown pass as well. So at least it was Kenny Minchie throwing the football. Like, it's so blatantly obvious. And I don't know. I don't want to start it, but it is, 3:42 in the morning back east. But it was interesting that Nard Dog was punting like down late in that game, almost like, here you go, Miami. Come on, score a little bit so we could get Notre Dame out of this thing.
That thought crossed my mind. I'm glad I'm not the only one who had that thought.
The guy, and oh my God, if you want to make the argument that Miami should be in over Notre Dame because of the head-to-head, I'll listen to it. But for the love of God, people, well, Notre Dame, Pitt didn't care about the Notre Dame game. Yeah. Get the hell. They retired Aaron Donald's jersey, and game day was there for the first time in 2 decades. Shut up with that nonsense. Like, you could You could talk about metrics and head-to-head all you want. I'll listen to it. But the whole, well, at least they were trying against Miami. Stop.
All right, Chuck Todd.
Well, what's funny is the announce team multiple times were repeating basically what Pete said last week, which is like, Syracuse quit last week. They're lifeless. Syracuse quit. You can't really compare that game. Probably not the best guy to quote on this podcast, but I will anyway, because I thought it was a hilarious quote on the Miami Pitt broadcast. Mario Cristobal on bad weather, quote, "There's no such thing as bad weather, only soft people," end quote. Which is kind of how I feel. Well, first off, Mario didn't drive through the freaking snowstorm that I did just to pull over and find a room and come up here for safety. I'd like to see him try to do that down in Miami. But I feel the same way about people who are complaining about a 10:30 p.m. kickoff. There's no such thing as late kickoffs. There are only people who don't actually care about.
There's only press boxes that don't serve coffee. That was a major.
Stanford doesn't.
There was no coffee in the press box.
That's
unbelievable.
A bad beat.
That's not good. Like that's BYU stuff. That's not Stanford stuff.
Yeah.
Tank Flank 1. Add Clark Lee to the list of independent podcast bump beneficiaries. #payday. I think he'd much rather playoff berth, but we're happy to take credit and maybe a commission fee for helping him get that contract extension. Jack Corcoran, the actual football question. Second half defense I found to be poor, tackling subpar even with the starters in. Pass rush all game was bad, does not bode well for playoffs with no KVA. I don't disagree with any statement you just made there.
It was pretty blah second half defensively. And I get it, like the bomb, I think it was a 33-yard bomb over Christian Gray. Like that was a great throw and great catch. Like I give Stanford some credit there. I felt like Stanford basically had one play where like crossing would sit between the linebackers in zone and then they'd hit them. That was it. That was the only play that really worked. But yeah, just like the drive. I think the drive that Charlie Meyer led for a touchdown at the very end just felt incredibly annoying, I think, to everybody, because it felt like the end of the Syracuse game, and then it felt like the end of the Pittsburgh game, and it's like this has no appreciable value on how good or not good you are as a football team, but it's just annoying. And the fact that it was the son of a former All-American first-round pick quarterback is kind of just a little bit of a annoying icing on the cake.
Yeah, clearly, first game he ever plays, it's his last game as a senior, and it's against Notre Dame. Yeah. And he looked good.
Great moment for him.
And clearly Frank Reich did not hint to the broadcast team that he would be making an appearance because they were like, who is that?
Yeah.
I felt bad. I felt bad for Dave Fleming and Brock Osweiler, because I really like that crew quite a bit. Now I'm a bit partial because Stormy's my colleague, but like they were thrown off. Like who is that guy coming into the game? So clearly at some point they got to him like, oh, that's Rick Meyer's son who went to Notre Dame.
The stadium PA announcer at the end when Notre Dame was going down to try to score at the end was announcing completions from Kenny Minchie to Dallas Golden instead of Micah Gilbert. So that was a nice touch, I thought.
And I'm not trying to. And once again, I think the point that the previous commenter mentioned, I think is fair. And the loss of KVA is massive, no doubt. Pete, how bad was the atmosphere? Because that second half looked as sleepy. Like you're up 35-3. This season,
it was bad.
It's over. Like I got to imagine it's hard to be like, hey, I'm jacked up.
For the record, I looked it up. 30,000 2 years ago, 27,000 a night. So
wow. Okay. It was bad. But I think I'm glad you mentioned something about the injuries with KVA. And I don't think this impacts like Notre Dame and like where they should be ranked or not. But you get Schrouth back, you get Rubio back, you get Tay Johnson back. Sort of the opposite.
Great house.
Great house back, I guess. Noah Burnett back. Who knows? I will definitely write this in my column. Like if Notre Dame gets left out, they would be the first team to get left out of a 12-team playoff that actually could have won the 12-team playoff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like Notre Dame's good enough to win the whole thing, which is, I think, part of the anxiety you feel as a Notre Dame fan. It's not about sneaking in just to say that you did. It's like, holy crap, you have a team that can go on and do the whole thing, and you might get trapdoored at the end and not have a chance to do it.
And if they're in the 8-9, to be honest, and Ohio State wins on Saturday night in Indianapolis, I think you could make a strong argument that the two best teams could meet in the quarterfinal.
Like last year?
Like last year, certainly. And hopefully the team
the
that
game
is
would
the
be
8th
better.
seed wins the game like they did last year. So that would be nice. But yeah, I mean, some of the folks that I talked to in Vegas have Notre Dame power rated as high as number 2 in the country. So it's, and not to say that's universal. There are other people who have them a little bit lower. But this is definitely a team that if they get in is going to have some push that they could win the national championship. So we'll see how the bracket breaks and if they get in it. But I think too, like, going back to how this all plays out, like you look at what FPI, I think they're number 3. They were at least coming into this week. The advanced numbers love them. And
yes,
hey, man, if we just want to go back to the BCS, I think they were number 9 in the BCS. So let's bring back the computers, baby. Let's just go all in on computers.
I don't think they should take a backseat to anybody. I think Ohio State's a clear number 1 in the country, but I've said it before, I'll say it again. I don't think they're unbeatable. And I think this year's Notre Dame matches up a lot better with this year's Ohio State than last year's Notre Dame did with last year's Ohio State. I think they've got the offensive firepower to score more than 16 points on that defense, which is the most they've given up all season long. I think they've got enough bodies to contain that offense because it's kind of been death by a million paper cuts with Ohio State this year. They're not just winning all these games 35-7. It's 27-9 like it was today. It's 20 play drives. It's put your hand in the dirt and have Julian Sayin go to work and set things up perfectly for a deep shot to Carnell Tate. It's they've got athletes like they always do. They've got great receivers like they always do, but they're winning with their defense. And this Notre Dame offense, when it's at its peak, they could score the best of them. And so I'd love to see that matchup. Not to relitigate, but Tim, you were mentioning, Notre Dame has only themselves to blame. I think everything you mentioned involved the A&M game. I go back to week 1 and Jeremiyah Love getting 10 touches. Like that to me, it was just unforgivable in real time. It's even more unforgivable in retrospect. I get trying to ease a first time starting quarterback in the way you did with all those short passes, but not to feed Love. And I don't want to have a separate argument about maybe he could have won the Heisman if he had one more great game, but I just never understood that approach that game.
Well, they never stretched the field, and that led to Miami being able to condense it, and we weren't really able to get anything going. So, I'd be curious to see, guys, too, where, and this is kind of ranging into a more of a college football talk as opposed to Notre Dame here, but it's, how far does A&M drop? How far does Oregon go up? Because, as much as I was pulling for Auburn and I thought they had a chance to win, had the ball fumbled, self-inflicted wound. LSU should have beaten Oklahoma. I don't think Washington really had that much of a chance against Oregon. Oregon was very impressive today. Like
I'd like Oregon.
They're missing a lot too. Like that's
they're hurt, man. They got offensive line injuries, DeCorian Moore, Bryant at wide receiver. The last couple of performances from Oregon have impressed me quite a bit. And so I give them credit, and I think they're pretty legit.
I will say, you talked about annoying, Pete. What was annoying? Stanford having a 15-play drive where they convert 2 4th downs and then settle for a 44-yard field goal down 42-3. That, to me, was the most annoying thing in the world. Came all this way for nothing. Absolutely nothing.
12-play, 54-yard drive, yeah.
I just did not get that at all, nor did the announcing crew. Jack
and
Corcoran,
offsides to force
to go for it for the 3, Jack Corcoran, if the committee knows ball, we should be ahead of Oklahoma. The defense is nasty, but the offense is brutal. No fear if we go Norman. I doubt we move up, though. I doubt you move up, but I agree with the logic. That's my thing.
Yeah.
It's like, again, the committee kind of just makes it up. If you could put them ahead of Alabama, I think you could put them ahead of Oklahoma. I mean, I think Oklahoma's the worst of those 3 teams, even though, again, they did beat Alabama on the road. I don't think it's going to happen, but I could find a justification for it, as I'm sure you guys can.
You could talk yourself into anything. That's one of the things you could talk yourself into.
I mean, I was stunned. I mean, Matt, I heard you talk about it. I said it on my podcast too. Like, Alabama being behind Notre Dame is insane to me with the wins that Alabama has. So if you're looking at the wins that Oklahoma has, all right, Auburn, well, how does that look right now?
Nope.
5-7. Tennessee just lost again today. They're a 4-4 SEC team. They beat Alabama, but we already referenced that was very fluky, less than 5% post-game win expectancy. And they beat a Missouri team, okay, who wrapped up the season against Arkansas, and they beat Michigan. Like, that's a good win. It's not a great win. So I don't know. I think you could certainly make the case, but Oklahoma's resume is better, but Alabama's resume is better, and they're behind Notre Dame. So yeah, you could make the case, and I wouldn't be stunned. I would be a little surprised, but I wouldn't be stunned.
Yeah, you and me both. And then go Irish. Pete and Matt beat up their pizzas yet? Beat up.
Heat up or eat up?
Eat up. Yeah, I think you added a B there. Yeah, I was well fed this whole week. Thanksgiving week. All the work I put into my body over the last 12 months just goes down the drain, but it's worth it. That's why I work so hard the other 364 days of the year.
All right. I think they might be close to kicking me out of here, but
we've gone over an hour, and we do have over, and like there are a ton of questions. Like, guys, thank you very much for. I wondered. I know you all said you'd be here. I didn't necessarily believe you all because a lot of you were complaining about the start time, but it's 3:55 a.m. Want to go 5 more minutes so we could say we did a podcast at 4 a.m. Eastern time, or is that just me being a jerk right now?
Oh, okay. If you've got 5 minutes of questions,
I'm sure we do. Okay, I'm throwing this one to you, Pete. I'm guessing it's a soccer reference.
Pete, is Notre Dame's final minute defense managed by Arne Slot? Yeah, he's the manager of Liverpool. Liverpool is an abject disaster right now. I'm not sure if I totally see the parallel here, but I appreciate the Liverpool reference. Although, actually, I really don't, because they're impossible to watch right now. It's just maddening.
Ryan BB, yikes, Mormon joke. If you're referring to me saying only BYU should have no Cappy in their press box, I don't think that's a joke. That's real. In fact, remember we recorded Virginia, and we were in the coach's box, and we looked in their fridge after, and it was all drinks we never heard of before, because it was the whole staff that had come from BYU with Bronco Mendenhall, and they were not caffeinated beverages as well, which I thought was very interesting. Tristan DeHara, Tim Murray versus Ari Wasserman debate. I'm sure we can make that happen. Pete and I won't get a word in. We might just cede the floor and just have you guys do a special.
He's got his top 10 out. Notre Dame's not in it.
And well, we'll see if that resembles what happens in real life in a couple of weeks, because everyone's got a lot of anxiety right now. I thought there were a lot more questions there. It's a lot of people just arguing with each other and making fun of LSU, which I understand is kind of how it is.
All right, I think they are like pounding on the window now, so I may have to bounce out of here.
How dare you disrespect the holy grail that is Stanford Stadium?
Yeah, Stanford Steve, he's going to hear about this.
They should be begging you to do this podcast with 333 listeners.
Oh my God. All right, well, Matt, you want to wrap this up, and I'll bounce out of here.
Yeah, really quick, I want to shout out our producer, Mike Wolf. He's done a hell of a job, a lot of work. It's, again, almost 4 a.m. You guys may not know this, but we added an Ohio State podcast, Bill and Doug, that is part of our brand as well. And Mike's doing all that work in addition to all the work with the Independent. So thanks for making us look good, Mike. And when we'll do want to do a midweek show this week? Yeah. I mean, there's no game, but there's a lot to talk about post rankings, and we'll do something. We'll know something next Sunday, one way or another. Yeah. And we will have lots of opinions about that one. Tim, did your Hawaii bets hit? Mine did.
Of course. Yeah. Timmy Chang taking care of business. 26-1 ATS at home since he's become the head coach of his alma mater. So they open the season beating Stanford, and Notre Dame wraps up the season beating Stanford. It all comes for full circle.
Perfect. And on that lovely note, he's Pete. Subscribe to read his work at The Athletic. I'm Matt. Subscribe to read my work at The Inside Zone. He's Tim. Listen to the VSiN College Football Betting Podcast that has gotten me through many long drives throughout the season and maybe cost me a few bucks here and there. But thanks to all you guys for coming in and having some fun with us. We'll try to get some pizzas in next time, but hopefully we'll have a meetup around a playoff game. Hopefully it'll be a playoff game. And we will talk to you all midweek. Thanks all.